Okay, there we go. Okay. So, Lucky, give me just a minute, y'all. Getting YouTube together. Okay, that's good. Okay. So, Lucky, for the delay, y'all had to make sure YouTube was up and running. All right. Shalom, Israel. Yahweh Hashem Yahushua brought a thumb to my brothers. Yahweh Shemal Hashem Yahushua to my sisters. This is Wednesday night's law class. I'm Precinct Officer Radah Iwalam. Before I get into my topic, for those who are tuning in on Facebook or on YouTube, if you could like the video, thumb up the video, and share it so we can continue pushing this truth all across the world. Also, big shout out to Commanding General Yahanna for never dropping his sword. You understand? Still pushing this truth, still going strong. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, sir. So the water for that. Not only is he the hardest working man in Israel, he is a father to us all in this truth, who raised us up to be who the Lord called us to be. And that's to be soldiers in the Lord's army, to be men of war and integrity, to be leaders on the front lines, defending the fatherless and the widows, raising the dead, taking care of the poor. We do what your religious leaders wouldn't do. We take care of our people. We show you how to repent, get your life together, and follow these laws, statutes, and commandments. All right, so tonight's topic, the story of King David. Ooh-wee. The story of King David. All right. The whole story of King David, from the time of his youth till he took his last breath, to bestowing wisdom unto his son Solomon, is one of my favorites out of the Bible. You understand? Because there's a lot to learn in his story, even from his upbringing, his courage, the famous story between him and Goliath, Saul seeking to put him to death, the moment he messed up when he took another brother's wife by sending him on the front lines to you understand, to get him put to death by the Ammonites in secret, just so that he could sleep with her afterwards. He slept with her before, prior to this. You understand? We're going to get into that part of the story as well. You understand? Because what he did, it was a very, very evil thing. How he plotted on this brother, because we know today that still goes on in the ghettos of our neighborhoods. Rappers glorify and taking another man's woman away from them, like you got the power to do, you got the power to, you understand, have whatever woman that you want, even if she belongs to somebody else. With your fame and your wealth and power in the city, you understand, you can have whoever you desire to have. Being very rich and prosperous, you understand, isn't something that easily comes by for everyone. Like the minute someone has an opportunity to taste even the smallest bit of your prosperity, they'll do whatever your heart desires to be recognized or to share the spotlight with them. You understand? Now, before we get deep into the story of King David, we first need to understand how he was chosen to be king. You understand? First Samuel is really the start on the pedigree of the kings in the Bible through our bloodline. So the first scripture that we're going to pull is Deuteronomy 17 and 15. We're going to start there, all right? So now we're going to go to Deuteronomy chapter 17, and we're going to start at verse 15, all right? So now this is Deuteronomy chapter 17, and we're going to start at verse 15, okay? It says, "Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose. One from among thy brethren shalt thou set king over thee. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother." All right, so now understand this first and foremost. Every king that has been set over us were chosen by the Lord. You understand? Even going all the way back to Adam. You understand? Adam didn't choose the Lord. The Lord chose Adam. The same way he chose Noah. The same way he chose Shem. how he chose Abraham, chose Isaac and Jacob and Moses and Joshua and Samuel and David, etc., etc. You understand? The Lord chose a king from among our brethren, from our tribe. You understand? We're not supposed to set a stranger over us, which is not our brother. Now, who would be considered a stranger in this context? Because when you read this scripture, context is everything. Because when you're reading the scriptures, and you see words like stranger, sojourner, Gentile, you understand? Context is everything. There are times where it is talking about an Israelite, and there are other times where it's talking about a non-Israelite or a heathen nation. So in this specific context, this is talking about another nation being a stranger that you're not supposed to set over thee to vote for that person to rule over your people. You understand? Someone who's not of your tribe. Well, guess what? King David was chosen by the Most High from among his brethren, among blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Also, tonight, we're going to do a little bit of backtracking, all right? So that we can get context on how David become Salakia, so that we can get context on how David becoming a king came about. You understand? So I'm going to touch on a few things about Samuel and King Saul before we talk about David, okay? The way an inheritance is supposed to work in Israel, right, is if you're a king and you have a son, by birthright, he is supposed to reign as king after the father passes away. Well, that didn't happen with Saul's children. You understand? The Lord rented the kingdom from him because of his disobedience. And before we get to that point, we're going to go to 1 Samuel 8:1 to find out how Saul was anointed in the first place to be king. You understand? So we're going to work a little backwards, and then we're going to work our way up to the time of David, because you got to know what happened back then in order to understand how David was chosen to be king, because a lot has taken place prior to him becoming king. So we're going to go all the way to the beginning, and we're going to start at 1 Samuel chapter 8, verse 1, okay? We're going to go to 1 Samuel chapter 8, and we're going to start at verse 1, all right? So let me catch up with y'all. So now this is 1 Samuel chapter 8, and we're going to start at verse 1. This is 1 Samuel 8:1. It says, "And it came to pass, when Samuel was old, that he made his sons judges over Israel." All right. So let me tell you a little bit about Samuel, right? Samuel walked in the ways of the Most High all the days of his life. All right. He was a prophet of the Lord. He was well respected. Everybody loved Samuel. You understand? Everybody did. So a lot of time has passed, and Samuel is now in his old age. Okay. It's about time for him to step down from judging over Israel and let his sons rule over in his place. All right. So now let's keep going. Let's get verse 2. It says, "Now the name of his firstborn was Joel, and the name of his second, Abiah. They were judges in Beersheba." So again, both his sons now are the judges ruling in Beersheba. Everybody understand? Let's keep going. Let's get verse 3. It says, "And his sons walked not in his ways, but turned aside after lucre, and took bribes, and perverted judgment." So what are we reading right here? His boys, his sons were not walking in the Lord's ways. They were not keeping his commandments and judging righteously over Israel like their father did. Instead of punishing the children of Israel for their wrongdoings, or correcting the brother when he was wrong, or correcting the sister when she was wrong, these brothers was taking bribes. You understand? They was taking money. They was blackballing. You understand? They perverted judgment. They were respecter of persons. Everybody understand? Let's keep going. Let's get verse 4. It says, "Then all the elders of Israel gathered themselves together and came to Samuel unto Ramah." So now the elders of Israel gathered together, and they called a council meeting and was like, "Look here. Okay, Samuel ain't got long before he check up out of here. You understand? Now we respect him and all, but his sons ain't fit to rule over us. Now we need to have a king and a society set up like these heathens got. You understand? Like no more having the Lord picking a king for us, man. It's time we step up and choose our own king. But first, let's run it through Samuel and see what he says about this. So now they got a game plan put together that they're going to present to Samuel when they get to Ramah. All right. Y'all stay with me because it's gonna get deep. All right. Let's keep going. Let's get verse 5. We're in 1 Samuel chapter 8. We're now at verse 5. All right. 1 Samuel chapter 8 and verse 5. And said unto him, Behold, thou art old, and thy sons walk not in thy ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations. See, this is why we brought out first Deuteronomy 17 and 15, where the Lord said, Thou shalt not set a stranger over thee who is not thy brother. Who did these wicked men want to rule over us? Other nations. Why? Because around this time, we was following after other gods like Baalim and Asherah and Dagon, all kinds of disgusting gods, and following after their culture. They got tired of following the Lord's way of doing things. Now let's find out what Samuel had to say about this. You understand? This is 1 Samuel chapter 8 and verse 6. It says, But the thing displeased Samuel when they said, Give us a king to judge us. And Samuel prayed unto the Lord. So now, what these men told Samuel had displeased him. No, man, I'm not doing that. Are you out of your goddamn mind? Y'all must have forgot how scared the children of Israel was when the Philistines gathered together to fight us in Mizpah. You understand? After the Lord said to put away these strange gods and serve him only, will he deliver us from the hand of the Philistines. Y'all must have forgot when he said that. Now y'all coming to me. You understand? Y'all coming to me saying y'all want a king to judge us like all the other nations? Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves, man. Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. I'm highly disappointed in y'all. Samuel had to dismiss himself from that council meeting and discuss this matter with the Lord because this was urgent. He couldn't believe they said some shit. Oh, Salaki. They said some stuff like that. You understand? Let's keep going. Let's find out what the Lord had to say about this. Because trust and believe, he told the Lord everything what these men told him. You understand? Because even as an anointed, you have to report to the Lord. You understand? Let's get verse 7. And the Lord said unto Samuel, Hearken unto the voice of the people in all that they say unto thee. For they have not rejected thee, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them. The Lord told Samuel, listen, man, don't sweat it, man, all right? If having another king over them is what they want, then let them have what they ask for. It's not that they rejected you, Samuel, but they rejected me that I should not reign over them. Now, I want y'all to think about this when you're in the voting booths. You understand? Think about what the goal of voting really is, all right? You're not changing the ghetto. You sitting in hell no matter who's your president, no matter who you elect over you. You understand? You're telling the people in charge that you agree, that you're one of them. You will join them in their effort. You understand? By voting, you're saying, I'm in, I'm on board. You understand? You're joining them in their fight against the Most High. You're on their side. There's two heads on the same coin. It doesn't matter whether you're a Democrat, you're a Republican, a liberal, whatever you are, they're all against you. Always have been. You don't believe me? Let's skip down a few verses and prove it. Let's skip down a few verses and go down to this is verse 9. 1 Samuel chapter 8, verse 9. It says, Now therefore hearken unto their voice, howbeit yet protest solemnly unto them, and show them the manner of the king that shall reign over them. Oh, the Lord is making a decree for Samuel to let the people know this. Y'all wanted a king? I'm going to give y'all a king. I'm going to give you what you asked for. Before I let this happen, let me tell you what you're gonna be up against when I put this king over you. You understand? Let's skip down and let me see. I'll read verse 10. This is 1 Samuel chapter 8, verse 10. It says, and Samuel told all the words of the Lord unto the people that asked of him a king. Verse 11. And he said, this will be the manner of the king that shall reign over you. He will take your sons and appoint them for himself, for his chariots, and to be his horsemen, and some shall run before his chariots. The king that's going to reign over you, he's going to take your sons and appoint them to whatever the hell he wants you to be for him. You understand? That's what this is saying. Let's get more. Let's get verse 12. It says, and he will appoint him captains over thousands and captains over 50s, and will set them to ear his ground and to reap his harvest and to make his instruments of war and instruments of his chariots. Meaning what? He's going to enlist you in his military with ranks. You will be his eyes and his ears on the ground and in the sky. You're going to make his weapons for war. You're going to make weapons for his chariots, for his tanks, for his airplanes. You understand? This is what this king going to do over you when you elect him to rule over you. You understand? Verse 13. And he will take your daughters to be confectionaries, and to be cooks, and to be bakers, and your daughters. I got some for them too. I got some for the daughters too. They're gonna be in the kitchen cooking and baking and cleaning and setting up tables. They're gonna be serving too. They're gonna be they're gonna get put to work just like I'm gonna put you to work. You understand? Verse 14. And he will take your fields and your vineyards and your olive yards, even the best of them, and give them to his servants. And everything good you have in your fields, all them collard greens, all them tomatoes, them apples, the oranges, the grapes, the corns, you understand, the olives, the strawberries, your good fruits. He's going to take all the good fruits and give it to his servants and leave you with the worst of your harvest. You understand? Verse 15. And he will take the tenth of your seed and of your vineyards and give to his officers and to his servants. And as for everything you plant with the seed, he taking 10% of your vineyards and he giving it to his officers and his servants. You understand? Sounds like this brother or this heathen that you want to put over you is going to take everything that you got. You understand? Let's get more. Let's get more because the Lord ain't done yet. The Lord ain't done yet. Let's get some more. Let's get verse 16. And he will take your men servants and your maid servants and your goodliest young men and your asses and put them to his work. You understand? And he gonna take your maid servants, your men servants, and your maid servants, and your goodliest young men, those who are young, that's full of energy, they strong, they healthy, then they're ambitious. You understand? And take your ass. Okay, now when you see asses, this is talking about camels, all right? Or I mean donkeys. You understand? Don't think like I'm taking y'all ass, I'm gonna put them to work. That is what he's saying, but the asses right here in this is talking about camels. You understand? Or donkeys. I'm sorry. You understand? Because donkeys are known for carrying heavy loads of work. This is going to be some heavy servitude coming from this king that y'all been asking for. You understand? Verse 17. Let's get verse 17. It says, and he will take the tenth of your sheep, and ye shall be his servants. And he's taking 10% of your sheep too, man. I'm surprised he didn't take a tenth of your money. They got that later. They're going to get that later in the story. Salakia. You understand? Let's keep going. Let's get verse 18. And ye shall cry out in the day because of your king, which ye shall have chosen you. And the Lord will not hear you in that day. And just like how you cried out to the Lord when you were in Egypt to deliver, for the Lord to deliver you, the Lord's not going to hear you in that day. Now, you would think after reading these verses that people would be like, man, damn, the new king we going to have over us going to treat us this bad? Man, oh no, man, we might have to rethink this too before this decision is final. You think that's what the people did? Let's find out. Let's find out if they took this to heart with what Samuel was telling them. Let's find out what they said. Let's get verse 19. Nevertheless, the people refused to obey the voice of Samuel, and they said, "Nay, but we will have a king over us." Man, them people was like, man, when they heard what Samuel had to say about this king that they wanted to have over them, them people was like, man, get the hell out of here with all that nonsense that you talk about, Samuel. Man, you know, you're just hating on these other nations. They're not doing those things against each other. So what reason would they have to do what you said they would do to us? At the end of the day, listen, Samuel, at the end of the day, we're going to be just fine. Okay? You fought the good fight for us, and now it's time for you to live out the rest of your days in peace, Samuel. You understand? They weren't trying to hear all of that. You understand? Verse 21. And Samuel heard all the words of the people, and he rehearsed them in the ears of the Lord. Which means what? Samuel told the Lord everything they told him. This whole chapter marks the beginning of where the prophecy came from in regards to the future kings of the Bible. Now we're going to go to 1 Samuel 9 and 1. All right. So now we're going to go to 1 Samuel chapter 9 and verse 1. Okay. This is 1 Samuel chapter 9, verse 1. It says, Now there was a man of Benjamin whose name was Kish, the son of Abiel, the son of Zeror, the son of Bechorath, the son of Aphiah, a Benjamite, a mighty man of power. Verse 2. And he had a son whose name was Saul, a choice young man and a goodly. And there was not among the children of Israel a goodlier person than he. From his shoulders and upward, he was higher than any of the people. So now we're getting the pedigree of Saul's background, because what did Deuteronomy 17 and 15 say? Choosing a king amongst thy brother from your own people. You understand? So now we're getting the pedigree of Saul's background. He was a tall, good-looking brother from the tribe of Benjamin. You understand? Now we're going to skip down. Let me see. Let's skip down to verse 15. This is 1 Samuel chapter 9, verse 15, okay? It says, Now the Lord had told Samuel in his ear a day before Saul came, saying, verse 16, Tomorrow about this time I will send thee a man out of the land of Benjamin, and thou shalt anoint him to be captain over my people Israel, that he may save my people out of the hand of the Philistines. For I have looked upon my people, because their cry is come unto me. So Samuel knew that he was expecting Saul to seek him, because the Lord already told him that he was coming. So let me give you a little context with what happened here, all right? So now Saul's father was missing some of his donkeys one day, right? And he told Saul to take a servant with you and go find my donkeys. So they go from town to town looking for these donkeys, right? And they got no luck. So his servant suggests to Saul about a man of God in the city who was a prophet, all right? Samuel meets Saul at the gate of the city. He tells him he's the prophet that he's looking for. So now he tells Saul, oh, by the way, those donkeys y'all been looking for, that's been missing for 3 days, they've been found. But don't worry about that. Forget about that. This is about you and your father's house. You understand? So now we're going to skip down to verse 21. All right. This is 1 Samuel 9 and 21. And Saul answered and said, Am not I a Benjamite of the smallest tribes of Israel? And my family the least of all the families of the tribe of Benjamin? Wherefore then speakest thou so to me? You understand? So Saul is questioning Samuel, like, why do you have a particular interest in me? What's so great about me? Sir, I'm a Benjamite from the smallest tribe of Israel. My family is the least of all the families of the tribe of Benjamin. Now, this was a young, humble Saul before he got all big-headed and let the status of a king puff out his chest later on. You understand? Samuel spent a lot of time with Saul, raising him up in the truth until he started messing up later on. Now let's skip a few more chapters, okay? And now we're gonna start. We're gonna skip and go all the way to 1 Samuel chapter 12, and then we're gonna start at verse 1. Okay. It says, and Samuel said unto all Israel, behold, I have hearkened unto your voice in all that ye said unto me, and have made a king over you. So now I'm going to recap with what happened in the 11th chapter. For those who are unfamiliar with the story, okay? I'm going to catch y'all up with what happened in the 11th chapter, all right? So a battle emerged between the Ammonites and the men of Jabesh, all right? These were Israelites fighting against the Japanese. They wanted to make a covenant with the Ammonites because they were outnumbered, all right? So they said, look, you spare us and we'll serve you. They wanted to make a covenant with them. You understand? And they said, look, if you spare us, we'll serve you. But the Ammonites was like, how about I cut your eyes out and lay it for a reproach upon all Israel? Let me make an example out of y'all, and you got yourselves a deal. And so the men of Jabesh was like, give us about 7 days. Give us a week to send messengers out, right? And if there be no man to save us, then we'll come to you, all right? Word got back to Saul because the people were distressed about the matter, okay? They were distressed about the matter. So what Saul did was Saul lured men throughout all the coast of Israel in fear of him hewing their oxen. Okay. So once he did that, he managed to gather a total of 300,000 of the children of Israel and about 30,000 men of Judah that showed up. Okay. So now they had more than enough manpower to overtake the Ammonites. So now the Lord gives them the victory. The people now ruled in favor of Saul to appoint him from captain to being king. Now we start at verse 1. So we're going to read it from the top, okay? This is 1 Samuel chapter 12, verse 1. It says, and Samuel said unto all Israel, behold, I have hearkened unto your voice and all that you said unto me, and have made a king over you. All right, verse 2. It says, and now, behold, the king walketh before you, and I am old and gray-headed, and behold, my sons are with you, and I have walked before you from my childhood unto this day. So now Samuel is now reiterating what the people have asked him for in the beginning. You understand? Now, this is where it's finna start getting heavy, because what he's about to do is he's about to give the rundown between how good they had it when the Lord chose who he wanted over us and when he was with us in battle. All right, I hope y'all ready for this, because he's finna drop some. He finna drop the hammer hard on the children of Israel right here. All right, this is verse 3. All right, this is 1 Samuel chapter 12, verse 3. It says, behold, here I am, witness against me before the Lord and before his anointed. Whose ox have I taken? Or whose ass have I taken? Or whom have I defrauded? Whom have I oppressed? Or of whose hand have I received of any bribe to blind my eyes therewith? And I will restore it to you. So Samuel's running down a list of accusations. He's asking the people if he's ever done any of these transgressions against the people. You understand? If he's done any of these things, he will restore whatever he's taken away from you back to you. You understand? So now let's get verse 4. Here's what the witnesses have said when Samuel have spoken. Okay. This is verse 4. And they said, thou hast not defrauded us, nor oppressed us, neither hast thou taken out of any man's hand. So they all agree that he haven't done any of those things. All right. Verse 5. And he said unto them, the Lord is witness against you, and his anointed is witness this day, that ye have not found aught in Salah. Hold on. The Lord is witness against you, and his anointed is witness this day, that ye have not found aught in my hand. And they answered, he is witness. So in other words, here you all stand as eyewitnesses, confirming today that I've done none of these accusations against the children of Israel. Now he's about to switch gears, and he's about to emphasize what the Lord has done to how the Lord, what the Lord did when he what he did for us back in Egypt. That's what he's about to reiterate now. Let's get verse 6. Okay. This is 1 Samuel chapter 12 and verse 6. And Samuel said unto the people, it is the Lord that advanced Moses and Aaron, and that brought your fathers up out of the land of Egypt. Let's keep going. Let's get verse 7. Now, therefore, stand still, that I may reason with you before the Lord of all the righteous acts of the Lord, which he did to you and your fathers. Now I'm finna tell you where y'all went wrong by choosing your own king and going about doing things your own way. Verse 8. When Jacob was come into Egypt, and your fathers cried unto the Lord, then the Lord sent Moses and Aaron, which brought forth your fathers out of Egypt, and made them dwell in this place. So he's like, listen, man, when your forefathers came into Egypt under captivity and oppression, they cried out unto the Lord. And when they cried out unto the Lord sent Moses and Aaron. You understand? Verse 9. And when they forgot the Lord their God, he sold them into the hand of Sisera, captain of the host of Hazor, and into the hand of the Philistines, and into the hand of the king of Moab, and they fought against them. So then Samuel was like, all right, so watch this. Do y'all know what happened when they forgot the Lord our God? You know what happened when we started worshiping after other gods, wanting after the lust of these other nations? You know what happened? The Lord put us back in captivity under the hands of our enemies. That's what he did. You understand? Verse 10. And they cried unto the Lord and said, we have sinned, because we have forsaken the Lord, and have served Baalim and Asheroth. But now deliver us out of the hand of our enemies, and we will serve thee. You understand? Time and time again. You understand? Wait, so like, hold on. Let me read that from the top. I skipped something. And they cried unto the Lord and said, we have sinned, because we have forsaken the Lord, and have served Baalim and Asheroth. But now deliver us out of the hand of our enemies, and we will serve thee. See, now they feel bad for sinning against the Lord and asking Samuel to have the Lord deliver us from our enemies. Samuel didn't stop there. He kept going in on them. Let's read some more. This is verse 11. It says, and the Lord sent Jerubbaal and Badon and Jephthah and Samuel, and delivered you out of the hand of your enemies on every side, and ye dwelt safe. Time and time and time again, I've sent after men who rejoice gladly in my commandments to deliver Israel of their enemies, whether you took them head on or if they were round about your cities. I was your protection. I kept you safe. I guess what I did for y'all ain't good enough, is it? Let's keep reading. Let's get verse 12. And when ye saw that Nahash, the king of the children of Ammon, came against you, you said unto me, nay, but a king shall reign over us. When the Lord your God was your king, boy, he went in on them. You understand me? As soon as this cat came against y'all, you understand? I guess when y'all decided y'all had enough of the Most High, you thought the grass was greener on the other side. You think there'll be a better king over you than I've been? You understand? You decide to cut ties with your heavenly Father for a nation who don't even give a damn about you. You chose them over me. You understand? And when you saw that Nahash, the king of the children of Ammon, came against you, ye said unto me, nay, but a king shall reign over us, when the Lord your God was your king. That is heavy what Samuel is bringing out to these men, boy. Straight, oh man, it hurts. You understand? It hurts because they know they done messed up. They messed up, man. They messed up asking for a king to rule over us other than the Lord. They messed up. You understand? Let's keep going. Let's get more. You understand? Now, therefore, behold the king whom ye have chosen and whom ye have desired. And behold, the Lord has set a king over you. So, in other words, here's y'all king. This is who y'all wanted, right? You got what you asked for, didn't you? Well, here he is. You understand? So now we're going to skip down a few verses. Now we're going to skip down to verse 16. Okay? This is Second Samuel, First Samuel chapter 12, verse 16. It says, now therefore stand and see this great thing, which the Lord will do before your eyes. All right. Verse 17. Is it not wheat harvest today? I will call unto the Lord, and he shall send thunder and rain, that ye may perceive and see that your wickedness is great, which ye have done in the sight of the Lord, in asking you a king. So Samuel's like, ain't today wheat harvest? Well, guess what? That ain't happening today. Ain't nobody gathering nothing. I'm calling on the Lord to send thunder and rain to show you how great your wickedness has been to even think about asking for a king. You understand? Let's keep going. Let's get verse 18. So Samuel called unto the Lord, and the Lord sent thunder and rain that day. And all the people greatly feared the Lord and Samuel, because he was not playing. He knew everything he was saying was right. So once again, they knew they messed up. They knew they messed up, which is why they feared Samuel and they feared the Most High. Everybody understand? Verse 19. And all the people said unto Samuel, pray for thy servants unto the Lord thy God, that we die not. For we have added unto all our sins this evil, to ask us a king. All right, verse 20. And Samuel said unto the people, fear not, ye have done all this wickedness, yet turn not aside from following the Lord, but serve the Lord with all your heart. In other words, Samuel is telling the people to repent, turn from your wicked ways, and still serve the Lord, man. That's what Samuel's telling the people. Repent for what you did and still serve the Lord. You understand? Verse 22. Salakia, verse 21. And turn ye not aside, for then should ye go after vain things, which cannot profit nor deliver, for they are vain. Talking about these idols that we love worshiping after, because the other nations are doing it. Those idols are vain. They are nothing. They can't save you, and they're not living either. You understand? Verse 22. For the Lord will not forsake his people for his great name's sake, because it hath pleased the Lord to make you his people. Do y'all see that, man? Do y'all see that? Even after all of this, the Lord still will not forsake his people for his great name's sake, man. What other gods you know of like the Most High with this kind of patience and long suffering for Israel, man? Because remember, Israel is a stiff-necked people. We very hard-headed. If this is what the Lord been putting up with from us, do you honestly think that these other nations are patient and long-suffering? You can't even get away with hurting somebody's feelings without being politically correct nowadays. You understand? You can't you can't say certain words on the internet. You can't call people certain names. The world is so emotional right now. You understand? They're very emotional. It says, for the Lord will not forsake his people for his great name's sake, because it hath pleased the Lord to make you his people. You understand? Verse 23. Moreover, as for me, God forbid that I should sin against the Lord in season to stop praying for you. But I will teach you the good and the right way. Even let me tell you how heavy this scripture. I'm gonna read it again, man. It says, moreover, as for me, talking about Samuel, God forbid that I should sin against the Lord in season to pray for you. But I will teach you the good and the right way. Even Samuel long suffered for his people. just like Moses did, because Moses long suffered us for a long time. You understand? For a long, long time. Here Samuel is carrying that example, doing the same thing, just like Moses did. Even though we're wicked people rebelling against the Most High, Samuel never stopped praying for his people. That's what we do in the UPK, man. We still pray for our brothers and sisters out there in the world. You understand? That still don't know no better, or the ones that still do know better and they should be doing better. We still praying out for them too. We're not praying for their downfall, because the Lord don't take pleasure in killing us, man. The Lord don't take pleasure in killing us. So guess what we do? We plead on behalf of our brothers and sisters in the world and ask the Lord to spare them. You understand? To allow them to live, to allow them to have that spirit to where they have a broken and contrite heart and understand when they hear the words of the Lord that they're broken when they hear what they've been doing have been wrong, and they want to do better. They want to get right. You understand? That's what we do here in the UPK, man. You understand? So now we're going to continue in the scriptures. So now we're going to get 1 Samuel chapter 13, and we're going to start at verse 1, all right? This is Slakia. 1 Samuel chapter 13, verse 1. It says, Saul reigned 1 year, and when he had reigned 2 years over Israel, Saul chose him 3,000 men of Israel, whereof 2,000 were with Saul in Michmash and in Mount Bethel, and 1,000 were with Jonathan in Gibeah of Benjamin. And the rest of the people he sent every man to his tent. Verse 3. And Jonathan smote the garrison of the Philistines that was in Gibeah, and the Philistines heard of it. And Saul blew the trumpet throughout all the land, saying, Let the Hebrews hear. Verse 4. And all Israel heard that Saul had smitten a garrison of the Philistines, and that Israel also was had in abomination with the Philistines. And the people were called together after Saul to Gilgal. All right, verse 5. And the Philistines gathered themselves together to fight with Israel, 30,000 chariots, 6,000 horsemen, and people as the sand which is on the seashore in multitude. And they came up and pitched in Michmash, eastward from Beth Aven. Boy, these Philistines came rolling deep. You hear me? Verse 6. When the men of Israel saw that they were in a strait, for the people were distressed, then the people did hide themselves in caves and in thickets and in rocks and in high places and in pits. Meaning what? They knew what time it was. They was in some trouble now. They was in trouble. That's why I said that for the people were they were distressed. They was in a strait. They was in trouble. Why? Because they were surrounded in heavy numbers to the point where they was like, man, you know what? Man, the hell with this. I'm gonna get the hell up out of here. I won't be dying here today. Not me. No, sir. I'm not. No. I'm finna haul ass. You understand? I got a family to think about. You understand? I still want to live. You understand? They got the hell up out of there and they hid. You understand? From these Philistines, because their numbers were too great. You understand? It was too great. Verse 7. All right. And some of the Hebrews went over Jordan to the land of Gad and Gilead. As for Saul, he was yet in Gilgal, and all the people followed him trembling. All right. Verse 8. There's a reason why we're getting the backstory of the 13th chapter, because the main focus that we want to focus on is verse 8, but we needed to get context with what was going on in the beginning. All right. So now we're in 1 Samuel chapter 13, verse 8. It says, and he tarried 7 days according to the set time that Samuel had appointed, but Samuel came not to Gilgal, and the people were scattered from him. All right. So now here's the question. When was this time that he was supposed to lay low till Samuel came to him what he needed? Till Samuel came to tell him what he needed to do. You know, I got the precept. You know, I'm going to pull it. Let's get the precept. Let's hold what we got, and let's go back to 1 Samuel, and let's go back to 1 Samuel chapter 10, and we're gonna read verse 8. You understand? Let's find out what this is talking about. All right. So now this is 1 Samuel chapter 10 and verse 8. It says, "And thou shalt go down before me to Gilgal, and behold, I will come down unto thee to offer burnt offerings and to sacrifice sacrifices of peace offerings. 7 days shalt thou tarry, till I come to thee and show thee what thou shalt do." Samuel specifically told Saul to wait for him in Gilgal, and that he was going to sacrifice offerings and peace offerings unto the Lord. Well, guess what Saul did? Let's go back to verse 8 and read the verse. 1 Samuel 13 and verse 8. It says, "And he tarried 7 days, according to the set time that Samuel had appointed," which is what we just read in 10 and 8. All right. But Samuel came not to Gilgal, and the people were scattered from him. Let's read verse 9. "And Saul said, Bring hither a burnt offering to me." Wait for it. "Bring hither a burnt offering to me and peace offering." And he offered the burnt offering. Mistake number 2. Mistake number 2. What did Saul do that he wasn't supposed to do? You understand? He was specifically told to meet Samuel down there in Gilgal. He was not in Gilgal. Mistake number 2. You understand? He wasn't supposed to burn any sacrifices unto the Lord. Who was supposed to do that? Samuel was supposed to do that. How do we know that? Because we just read it in 10 and 8. We just read that. Samuel just told Saul this, but Saul forgot. You understand? Saul forgot. He wasn't supposed to do that, man. He was not supposed to do that. Let's get verse 10. It says, "And it came to pass that as soon as he had made an end of offering the burnt offering, behold, Samuel came. And Saul went out to meet him that he might salute them." Now, boy, these scriptures are so heavy, man. You think Samuel was happy when he came to meet up with Saul? Do you think Samuel was happy? We finna read the first couple of words that came out of his mouth when he saw it. You understand? We're finna read it right now. Verse 11. "And Samuel said, What hast thou done?" And Saul said, "Because I saw that the people were scattered from me, and that thou camest not within the days appointed, and that the Philistines gathered themselves together at Michmash. Therefore said I, the Philistines will come down now upon me to Gilgal, and I have not made supplication unto the Lord. I forced myself, therefore, and offered a burnt offering." Saul pretty much just took it upon himself to do Samuel's job. That's pretty much what he's telling him. Well, nigga, you wasn't here. I knew the Philistines were coming after me. I know I need to make supplication to the Lord. You wasn't here. I had to do it. I took it upon myself to do it. You understand? Which was something he was not supposed to do on his own. He knew the Philistines were after him and his army. When we make, okay, let me tell you something about supplication. All right, when it says, okay, in verse 12, 1 Samuel 13 and 12, it says, "Therefore said I, the Philistines will come down now upon me to Gilgal, and I have not made supplication unto the Lord." When we make supplication unto the Lord, that's when we make our plea to the Lord. You understand? Asking him, you understand, shall we pursue the Philistines or should we wait? You understand? Should we trap them in this land? Should I split my army up and have one particular group, you understand, being chased while the other is being ambushed from behind? Do I need to pray and ask the Lord for forgiveness of our sins? You understand? Saul knew he messed up when he got checked by the Lord from Samuel. He knew that. He knew he messed up. Let's keep going. Let's get verse 13. And Samuel said to Saul, thou hast done thou hast done foolishly. Thou hast not kept the commandments of the Lord thy God, which he commanded thee. For now would the Lord have established thy kingdom upon Israel forever. Samuel told him straight up, listen, man, the kingdom would have been in your hands, Saul. I would have established it upon Israel forever. But you know what? But you effed up, Saul. You effed up. And because you messed up, now the kingdom shall not continue, because you disobeyed me by not doing what I told you to do. Then he stripped his rank from king. You understand? He stripped his king. I was like, I read a little, hold on, Salakia. I got a little ahead of myself. I got too excited. Let me come back, all right? I'm going to reread verse 13 and come into verse 14. I got too carried away and I skipped, all right? So let's go back and let's reread verse 13. It says, and Samuel said to Saul, thou hast done foolishly. Thou hast not kept the commandment of the Lord thy God, which he commanded thee. For now would the Lord have established thy kingdom upon Israel forever. Verse 14. But now thy kingdom shall not continue. The Lord hath sought him a man after his own heart, and the Lord hath commanded him to be captain over his people, because thou hast not kept that which the Lord commanded thee. You understand? So in other words, now because he messed up, right? The kingdom shall not continue because he disobeyed the Lord by doing what he wanted to do, what Saul wanted to do. He didn't do what the Lord wanted to do. He did what he wanted to do. So now as a result of that, he stripped him from his rank from being king back down to a captain, because what was he before? He was a captain. The Lord not the Lord, the people elected him to be king over them. You understand? And because of his disobedience, now the Lord stripped him from his rank and brought him back down to a captain. You understand? Now we're going to skip a few more chapters to where this was the final straw with the Lord dealing with Saul. All right. All of this is important because it all boils up to how David was set up to become king over Israel. You understand? But you got to know the backstory of what happened prior to him coming on the scene. You understand? So now we're going to skip a few chapters and we're going to go to 1 Samuel, the 15th chapter, and then we're going to start at verse 1. All right? So now this is 1 Samuel chapter 15 and verse 1. Here we go. Samuel also said unto Saul, the Lord sent me to anoint thee to be king over his people, over Israel. Now therefore, hearken thou unto the voice of the words of the Lord. So Samuel basically went up to Saul. It's like, okay, Saul, listen good, all right? The Lord giving you one more chance to get it right this time. He sent me to anoint you as king over Israel. So listen very carefully to what I'm about to tell you. All right. Verse 2. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, I remember that which Amalek did to Israel, how he laid wait for him in the way when he came up from Israel. Now, what is this talking about right here? I'm going to read it again. It says, thus saith the Lord of hosts, I remember that which Amalek did to Israel, how he laid wait for him in the way when he came up from Israel. What exactly did Amalek do? You know I got the precept. You know I'm going to bring it out. Let's hold what we got and let's go to Deuteronomy 25 and 17. All right, let's get context and find out what Amalek did to Israel. You understand? Let's go there and find out. Because it's important that we understand these things, because what's about to happen in the 15th chapter going on, it's about to get heavy. It's about to get heavy. All right. This is Deuteronomy 25 and 17. All right. It says, remember what Amalek did unto thee by the way, when ye were come forth out of Egypt. Verse 18. How he met thee by the way, and smote the hindmost of thee. You understand? Selak, I lost my place. How he met thee by the way, and smote the hindmost of thee, even all that were feeble behind thee, when thou wast faint and weary, and he feared not the Most High. You understand? What's the hindmost? The hindmost is the back. You understand? Amalek killed the people in the back because they weren't fast enough to get up to the front. They were weak. You understand? He killed them. You understand? And here's what Christians do, if I could sidetrack for a minute. All right. This is why this is so heavy, because this is what Christians will do, right? They let go of the people that can't keep up. You understand? For instance, people who are doctors, people who are lawyers, you understand? People who are entrepreneurs in school, you understand? They weren't thinking about college. You understand? If they could get a GED, then they'll thank the Most High. They at the back of the line. You understand what I'm saying? Christians cut them off. They care about the front of the line. You understand? If you ain't a doctor, if you ain't a lawyer, if you ain't got no business degree, you might want to come join Commanding General Yahanna, man. But if you're a felon and you've been in jail for years, if you're homeless, you understand? And you got a few bodies on your name and you go get a job, you understand? All they see are those murder cases. You understand? That's all that they see. That reverend don't want you in there, man. In here, we'll thank the Lord for you, and we'll be glad you're in here. Come join the rest of us. You understand? Verse 19. It says, therefore it shall be, when the Lord thy God have given thee rest from all thine enemies round about, in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, for an inheritance to possess it, that thou shalt blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. Thou shalt not forget it. You understand? Now I'm going to give you one more precept. Let's get Exodus chapter 17 and 14. All right? Let's get Exodus chapter 17, verse 14. All right. This is Exodus chapter 17 and verse 14. Okay. It says, and the Lord said unto Moses, write this for a memorial in a book, and rehearse it in the ears of Joshua. For I will utterly put out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. You understand? I'm going to skip down to verse 16. For he said, because the Lord hath sworn that the Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. You understand? He is an enemy of the Lord that he utterly hates. You understand? He will always make war with Amalek from generation to generation. Well, guess what? Today, Amalek is about to meet the wrath of the Lord. Now, let's go back to 1 Samuel 15 and 2. All right? This is 1 Samuel 15 and 2. It says, thus saith the Lord of hosts, I remember that which Amalek did to Israel, how he laid wait for him in the way, when he came up from Egypt. You understand? Verse 3. Now that we got context, who Amalek was and what he did to Israel. You understand? Verse 3. Now go and smite Amalek, and utterly destroy all that they have, and spare them not, but slay both man and woman, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and ass. What was Samuel telling Saul? Kill everything moving in the land of Amalek. Now, why would the Most High want to destroy all of them? He owed it to them because they tried to wipe us off the face of the earth back then in Egypt, which is what we just read in Deuteronomy and in Exodus. That's what that was talking about. You understand? Everything the Lord does and says, it's never in vain. Understand that. Everything the Lord does and says, it's never in vain. Okay? Meaning he don't just say something just to say it. When he brings words from his mouth, it instantly becomes an action that will take place, that will come to pass. You understand? There's a reason behind everything that he does, which is why his thoughts are not your thoughts and his ways are not our ways. You understand? Let's keep going. Let's get verse 4. All right. This is 1 Samuel 15:4. And Saul gathered the people together and numbered them in Telaim, 200,000 footmen and 10,000 men of Judah. So now Saul got the order from Samuel saying, Saul is gathering his men together, ready to go to war against Amalek. All right. Verse 5. And Saul came to a city of Amalek and laid wait in the valley, just like he laid wait for us back in Egypt. You understand? Verse 6. And Saul said unto the Kenites, Go, depart, get you down from among the Amalekites, lest I destroy you with them. For ye showed kindness to all the children of Israel when they came up out of Egypt. So the Kenites departed from among the Amalekites. All right. Now, if I'm not mistaken, right, in the Zondervan Bible Dictionary, the Kenites were one of the 10 tribes of Canaan. You understand? In the days of Abraham. You understand? Saul gave these Hamites an ultimatum. Get the hell out of this land. We got business with the Amalekites. You understand? It's about to get messy. If you don't want no smoke, I suggest y'all leave right now. Only because you showed kindness when we came out of Egypt, I'm giving you the courtesy and the chance to get the hell up out of here. That's what Saul's telling these Kenites. And you know what they did? The Kenites departed from among the Amalekites. They got the hell up out of there. They heard what Saul said. They knew he meant business. Oh, say no more. Oh, hey, babe, come on. Hey, get your thing. Hey, we got to get out of here now. Come on, everybody out. They took heed to what Saul said, and they got the hell up out of there, man, so that Saul can handle his business. You understand? Let's keep going. Let's get verse 7. All right. And Saul smote the Amalekites from Havilah until thou comest to Shur, that is over against Egypt. He killed a lot of Amalekites that day. He killed a whole lot of them. Saul carried his order out like he's supposed to. He did this thing for he did his thing. You understand? I gotta give it to him. Saul did his thing for a little minute though. Only for a little minute. You understand? Now watch this. Verse 8. And he took Agag, the king of the Amalekites, alive, and utterly destroyed all the people with the edge of the sword. Man, this nigga killed everybody but left one man alive. Agag, the king of the Amalekites. You understand? Let's read verse 9. It's gonna get good. It's gonna get worse. Verse 9. But Saul and the people spared Agag and the best of the sheep and of the oxen and of the fatlings and the lambs and all that was good, and would not utterly destroy them. God damn, Saul. But everything that was vile and refused, that they destroyed utterly. So let's rewind. Saul spares the king. The good sheep, he spares Agag and the best of the sheep. You understand? The good sheep who were strong to make more strong sheep. They kept them. You understand? That's what they kept alive. The scrawny ones that was feeble and weak and sick, he killed them. You understand? The same applied with the oxen. The same applied with the lamb. He separated them. So all the good batch, he kept them. All the worst ones, the sick ones, he got rid of them. You understand? That was patchy and everything. He killed all of them. You understand? Why wouldn't they kill them that were vile and refuse? Refuse is trash. You understand? Why wouldn't they kill them that were vile and refuse? Because of greed, man. Because of greed. What you find in the Christian churches, you understand? Amalek would be the so-called Jewish man today. You understand? He had a respecter of persons because Saul didn't obey what the Lord told him to do. And because of this, generations later, Haman, the Agagite, who descends from Agag, is now in a position to kill every single Israelite living in the book of Esther, which is where you find out about the Feast of Purim. You understand? What did Samuel just tell Saul in the beginning of the chapter? To hearken unto what the Lord said to do. Did he do it? Hell no, he didn't do it. That's twice he messed up back to back, trying to get it right, and he failed again. You understand? Let's keep reading. Verse 10. Then came the word of the Lord unto Samuel, saying, It repenteth me that I have set up Saul to be king, for he has turned back from following me, and have not performed my commandments. And it grieved Samuel, and he cried unto the Lord all night. The Most High said he wished he never made him king because he turned his back from following him. He left the truth. Him leaving the truth, it grieved Samuel. The reason why Samuel was so grieved is because he loved Saul. This was the man who raised him in the truth when he was a boy. You understand? So he looked at him as a son. You understand? And he kept messing up. He kept effing up. You understand? And Saul was, listen, man. Saul has so much love for this brother, for this man. You understand? Because he raised him like his own child, man. He raised him like his own child. First, he messed up back. Okay, let's reiterate it if we could. All right. First, he messed up back then when Samuel told Saul to tarry 7 days in Gilgal. Y'all remember that? And he said, wait for instructions on what to do next. Saul never showed up. Samuel wasn't supposed to. Samuel was supposed to offer burnt offerings and peace offerings when he got there. Samuel decided to do them both himself. You understand? And because he did that, now the kingdom got taken away from him because he disobeyed. You understand? Now he got another order to kill every Amalek in the land and all of the spoil. He spared Agag and the best cattle and the herd. The Lord had enough. You understand? And he's had enough of it. He's fed up with it. It says, It repented me that I have set up Saul to be king, for he has turned back from following me and have not performed my commandments. And it grieved Samuel, and he cried unto the Lord all night. You understand? Samuel knew when the Lord said it repented him to make Saul king, he knew he effed up again. Samuel already knew. He already knew that. He was like, God damn, Saul, damn. You understand? Verse 13. And Samuel came to Saul, and Saul said unto him, Blessed be thou of the Lord. I have performed the commandment of the Lord. Really? You see how he trying to be slick with Samuel, acting like he killed everything and spared nobody. Samuel already knew what's up. The Lord already done told him. Now watch what Samuel questioned Saul. Watch this, verse 14. And Samuel said, What meaneth then this bleating of the sheep in my ears, and the lowing of the oxen which I hear? What is Samuel asking Saul? In other words, what he's asking him is this: if you did everything the Most High said, I wouldn't be hearing the sound bah, 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 because everything that made sound would be dead. That's the Most High that you serve. I hear animals back there. I hear sheep. I hear the oxen. You understand? I'm not supposed to hear anything if you carried out the orders of what the Lord told you to do. You understand? I wouldn't be hearing that. You understand? What meaneth then this bleating of the sheep in mine ears, and the lowing of the oxen which I hear? You understand? Because Saul was supposed to kill everything in that land, and he did not. You understand? Verse 15. And Saul said, they have brought them from the Amalekites, for the people spared the best of the sheep and of the oxen to sacrifice unto the Lord thy God, and the rest we have utterly destroyed. Can you, y'all listen, man? Like, I hope y'all see the spirit behind what we're reading here. Like, can you imagine the look on Samuel's face when he made the excuse of sparing everything else when he wasn't supposed to? Can you imagine the face that Samuel had? Like, really, nigga? Like, really? 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 Are you serious? Let's read on. Verse 16. Then Samuel said unto Saul, stay, and I will tell thee what the Lord hath said to me this night. And he said unto him, say on. Let me tell you what the Lord told me, Saul. Let me tell you what the Lord told me to share with you, Saul. So Saul is all ears listening to what Samuel had to say. And here's what he said. Verse 17. And Samuel said, when thou wast little in thy own sight, was thou not made the head of the tribes of Israel? And the Lord anointed thee king over Israel? Saul, like this. Saul, you remember when you was young and the Lord raised you up as the head of the tribes of Israel and he anointed you as a king? That's what he's asking Saul. Verse 18. And the Lord sent thee on a journey and said, go and utterly destroy the sinners of the Amalekites and fight against them until they be consumed. The Lord sent you out on a mission to wipe out all the Amalekites, Saul. Verse 19. Wherefore then didst thou not obey the voice of the Lord, but didst fly upon the spoil, and didst evil in the sight of the Lord? So, okay, so rewind. So he's telling Saul, like, listen, man, remember when you was a young man and the Lord chose you and appointed you as king? You understand? As the head of the tribes of Israel? You remember that day? The Lord sent you on a mission, man. The Lord sent you on a mission to wipe out all the Amalekites. You do understand that, don't you, Saul? Yeah. So why you didn't do it? Why you didn't do it, Saul? Why did you spare one man and the goodly spoil when everything was supposed to be destroyed? Why did you do it? Verse 20. And Saul said unto Samuel, yea, I have obeyed the voice of the Lord, and have gone the way which the Lord sent me, and have brought Agag the king of Amalek, and have utterly destroyed the Amalekites. So Saul's argument was like, man, I did obey the Lord, man. What you mean? I did what he told me to do. I just left Agag alive and killed off the rest. Verse 21. But the people took of the spoil, sheep and oxen, the chief of the things which should have been utterly destroyed, to sacrifice unto the Lord thy God in Gilgal. So Saul's like, as far as spoil I gathered, you know what I mean, we was going to use that to offer sacrificing unto the Lord, Samuel. Like, there's some good meat we brought back. You understand? It's pure. It ain't got no spots. It's beautiful oxen and sheep. Like, why let that go to waste, man? I thought you'd be happy or give me some credit for what I did. I mean, damn. You understand? Like, didn't I do something right? Verse 22. And Samuel said, have the Lord as great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as in obeying the voice of the Lord. Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams. You understand? In other words, obedience is better than sacrificing and burnt offerings. He don't need his soldiers beating on a tambourine, man. You're not supposed to be crying and flipping and doing cartwheels down the aisle in the church, man. Christians don't know how to love their brothers and their sisters, man. They know how to be a good slave and please master. You understand? What is a sacrifice? A sacrifice is giving up something that you deem valuable. You understand? The people who gave sacrifices, why did they think God wanted the sacrifices? What purpose did it serve for the Most High to kill this lamb and throw it on the grill? What did the bull mean for the Lord? You understand? This was for making up sin. It was for an apology. Here's my best lamb. What's better, to apologize or to obey? That's what this is saying. This is the conversation that he's having with Saul, letting them know it's better that you do what the Lord tell you to do rather than offer sacrificing, man, because I could care less about the sacrificing. The purpose of the sacrifice is an apology. You understand? It's for making up what you did that was wrong. I'd rather you obey me and do what the F I told you to do. You understand? That's what Saul is telling Samuel. So that's what Samuel is telling Saul. Salakia. I keep getting them twisted together. You understand? Verse 23. For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry, because thou hast rejected the word of the Lord. He hath also rejected thee from being king. So in other words, you deserve death for what you did, Saul. What does the law say about witches? Exodus 22:18, I suffer not a witch to live. What is a witch? A witch is a drug dealer, man, cooking up that crack cocaine in the kitchen, man. You understand? Verse 24. And Saul said unto Samuel, I have sinned, for I have transgressed the commandment of the Lord and thy works, because I feared the people and obeyed their voice. So what Saul is doing, he's coming clean now. Man, okay. I only did it because I was a coward. What's our motto here in the UPK, man? No cowards. Saul fell weak in his spirit, and he listened to the people rather than obey what God had to say. You understand? So now we're going to skip down a few verses and go to verse 27. And I'm way over my time. You understand? But I got to finish this up because this is important to tying into the whole history of King David. I may have to do the history of King David next week because I did a whole lot of backtracking to kind of catch you up where David stands as king. You understand? Because there was a king before him. And in order for somebody to reign as king, we first need to understand what happened to the ruler who was the king in Israel prior to David. You understand? To understand how he got it. All right. Verse 27. And as Samuel turned about to go away, he laid hold upon the skirt of his mantle, and it rent. So what is a mantle? Okay, a mantle is a coat. You understand? It was a coat that Samuel wore. And so what it says right here is, and he laid hold upon the skirt of his mantle, and it rent. So he tore the bottom of it, right? As a symbol of letting Saul know that the Lord just took the kingdom from him for the last time. You understand? Verse 28. And Samuel said unto him, the Lord have I just said, Most High correct. And Samuel said unto him, the Lord hath rented the kingdom of Israel from thee this day, and have given it to a neighbor of thine that is better than thou. Who is that neighbor of his? David. He's a better fit to be king than you'll ever be, Saul. Verse 31. So Samuel turned again after Saul, and Saul worshiped the Lord. Verse 32. All right. Here's the code, because this is the last verse. Then said Samuel, bring ye hither to me Agag, the king of the Amalekites. And Agag came unto him delicately. And Agag said, surely the bitterness of death is past. You understand? Salakia. I'm going to read that from the top. Then said Samuel, bring ye hither to me Agag, the king of the Amalekites. And Agag came unto him delicately. And Agag said, surely the bitterness of death is past. So in other words, Samuel was like this. Well, Saul, since you couldn't get the job, I guess I have to do it for you. Now, Agag was like, when he came to Agag, when he asked to bring Agag in, Agag, you understand? It said Agag came unto him delicately. You understand? And Agag said, surely the bitterness of death is past. In other words, like, man, y'all, okay, like, Agag, in other words, was like this. When he came to present himself before Samuel, he was like, man, y'all still can't be mad at me over this bitterness. Like, I know we killed y'all out of Egypt, but that was years ago, Samuel. That was a long time ago. Slavery was years ago, Samuel. After we came out of Egypt, the Lord promised revenge on Amalek. He said in the right time, he will deal with them. This is now. You understand? Verse 33, and Samuel said, as thy sword have made women childless, so shall thy mother be childless among women. And Samuel hewed Agag in pieces before the Lord in Gilgal. Barakataya, Hallelujah, how is shot. He chopped that Edomite in pieces, man. Now you think your pastor gonna bring that scripture out and tell you that this white man got chopped in pieces by a black man? Hell no. You understand? And with that, this concludes tonight's class on the history of David, the whole backstory leading up to King David. So sometime next week, we're going to do a part 2 to this series on the history of King David. All right. So now, let me Salaki, y'all give me 1 second. Trying to get this pulled up, Salakia, y'all. It's going a little slow. All right. So now I'm going to read the ISUPK Security Announcements, all right? We are the ISUPK, start out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which a brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers chapter 18, verse 21. Malachi chapter 3, verse 8 through 10 means tenth in the Hebrew. Ma'ashara, 10% of every penny of any increase that the Lord gives you, give to the Treasury Department or the teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for a priest, not mandatory, whatsoever amount you would like. All right. And with that, Amajim, which means to stand, we're going to give a courtesy salute to the men online. Men of Israel, Amajim Shabbat, Amajim, Barak, Yahweh Hashem, Yahushua Barakathum. May the Most High bless you in the name of Christ. Yazamatabmi's hands down. We're going to give a courtesy salute to the sisters online. Men of Israel, Amajim Shabbat, Amajim, Barak, Yahweh Shemar Lathab Hashem Yahushua. May the Most High watch over you in the name of Christ. Yazamatami's hands down. Class dismissed.